Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie with an I-E.
And I'm Sweetie with a Y.
It's Spooky Month!
Spooky. Spooky.
Spooky. Spooky. Spooky. Spook. Whoa. Whoa, what happened?
It was so spooky, my phone fell over. It was just
Sorry.
like, I'm out of here.
We're doing this remotely. That was scary. I thought Sweetie was taken away by a ghost.
That was our original lyrics to the Super Mario World, the Super Nintendo game in the Bowser, the castles. It was the castles and like the fortresses. Yep. I think that was the music. Cause we had a song to it. We had a song. We had songs to lots of songs, which is like
we had a song to Rainbow Road too.
No surprise to anybody. Sweetie and I have been making silly songs for
it really is
all of our lives.
Really is a side talent. It's gonna be a side hustle.
Well, I think we need to be
lyricists.
Yes, I think we need to be lyricists. We're like the Mary Poppins brothers, but like we can't play instruments
only.
So
yeah,
just
I know we really. Really missed the boat by not learning to play an instrument. I'm sorry.
It was hard. It was really hard.
I tried the violin. I had to quit. It was way too hard.
I know.
Okay?
It's too hard.
I picked the wrong instrument.
Same for me. Same with
should've
that.
Stuck with
Spanish, too hard. Like, we're just like, we're not good. We're not good at
everything
trying.
is too hard. All right, guys. So it's Spooky Month, which means pretty much like every October in this podcast, we've been able to do a couple spooky flicks because, you know, that's what October's all about, right, sweetie? It's about Halloween and your birthday.
Yes. I'm trying to think if there's anything else it's about, but yeah, I would say that pretty much
Indigenous
sums it up.
Peoples Day.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great month.
Yeah. It's a great month. So, like we said, done some throughout the history of the podcast. This year, we're trying to do 4. And this year, we're leaning towards the 80s, 90s horror genre, which we haven't really done too much of. I mean, we've done like Poltergeist, we've done Exorcist, we've done Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So we've done a smattering of horror movies, but I thought it'd be fun to do some like classic, more classic, you know, horror
Have we done
movies.
The Shining?
The horror. No, we
think
haven't.
The other day, if we had, and I was like, it's like a really strange sensation when you're like, I think we did, but I don't think we did. I don't know. It's weird.
No, we didn't. I've only seen that movie
Bird.
once, like, all the way through. It did
right.
kind of fuck me up, but yeah. So we, so in the sense, like these shaped our childhood in the sense that they were around when we were children and were like a big deal. Personally, I only ever saw of the couple we're going to do Child's Play. Basically, and that's what we're covering today.
Oh. Child's Play.
Child's Play. I only saw this one and then basically never wanted to see another horror movie again because it scared me so much. I was a big scaredy cat, as I've talked about many times. Didn't see very many horror movies growing up, or any.
But you watched Jaws and The Exorcist at like sleepovers, and you seem to be fine.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, but it was something about the ones that seemed to be a little bit more like knife wielding, bloody, I guess. I didn't really consider those ones to be like super bloody. And I wasn't necessarily, I mean, Jaws is, but it's a shark. So I don't know. I felt that was like a different kind of a thing. But yeah, so so that's like where we're at with horror movies, and I think Sweetie too, didn't really see them necessarily growing up, but as we've mentioned before, Sweetie is a big horror movie buff, if you will. The buffiest. She's seen like literally every horror movie on the planet. I'm not even kidding you.
Probably. Most movies worth a damn anyways, I should say. But yeah, so that is 100% accurate. But yeah, Child's Play, I mean, I saw it probably maybe like middle school or high school with like friends at a sleepover probably. Which I think is similar for a lot of people, or maybe it was on TV, probably on TV.
Yeah. I was really young. I feel like I was like under 10 when I saw at least some scenes, and like sit down and like watch the whole movie, but it was like definitely on TV, and I came upon it and like couldn't stop watching it. And the deal with Child's Play, and I feel like this was the feeling I get from a lot of people our age, is that maybe you've like never seen it, but you knew about it obviously, but it was like, because it had to do with toys, it felt like a little bit more like geared towards kids and understanding it, because it had like a doll in it. So I don't know. It was one that like really stuck out. And then the Chucky figure or character became like this thing, this pop culture like thing that you couldn't get away from, to the point like, like Freddy Krueger, like Jason, everyone knows, like, even though you haven't seen the movie, like who Chucky is, right? So it really did, as we have that tagline in the intro, like shaped our childhood in that sense. And
there's so many, it's definitely one
it.
of the most sequels had of like a horror movies, definitely like the Chucky series. 7. Okay. And like how many times he gets put back in the Chucky body every time? Like, what is his problem? Get out of that thing. Get out of that doll.
Yeah. I was reading the, what do you call it? The summaries of all the movies. And it's also like the toy manufacturer just keeps making that damn doll over and over again. And I'm like, hello, cancel it. First of all, it's creepy as fuck and ugly. But also, like, yeah, you've had a lot of problems with it. AKA, like, serial killers keep jumping in the bodies of the dolls.
It a bad
stop
name.
it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I have issues.
So, Child's Play from 1988. So, starring a couple of memorable peeps, I'd say. So first off, you have Catherine Hicks, who's the mom, who, if you've ever seen that show, Seventh Heaven, also the mom. She just loves playing the mom.
Mom face.
She's pretty badass in this, I will say. We'll talk about it later, but I felt like it was another instance of a horror movie where, the lead woman is not necessarily a victim. She like fucking holds her own against the scary shit. And that is really good to see. I'm very like, as I've been seeing more horror movies, and now I've seen quite a bit because I'm not a scaredy cat anymore, guys. I just want to let you know, I watched like almost every horror, not as many as Sweetie, but I watched a lot of horror movies, and like I'm not scared at all. I just want to say. And I also want to say that I'm very disappointed to know that most people do not like horror movies / will not even watch them or give them a try. And it makes me really upset because I used to be one of those people. I started watching them and I realized, guys, they're not that scary. And I'm not making fun of you if you're like this, but you should really give it a try. I think you think the movies are worse than they actually are. True. Scare level wise, right?
Yeah.
They're really not that bad.
And I think that like our brains are mature enough at this stage in our development that like we won't watch something and be spooked and have nightmares all night. Like in my experience, that hasn't happened to me since I was like 10, to be honest.
Yeah. Like I was on this text chain with like 15 of my girlfriends, and someone had asked for some creepy movies to watch this month, and I, obviously I have like a ton, so I was like, yeah, you got to do like Poltergeist, you got to do like Werewolf in London, you got to do The Thing, like vintage Kurt Russell, and everyone's like, oh my god, I can't even watch Hocus Pocus, like so scary. And I was like, what? And like literally all the girls on this chain, not like maybe not the one who asked for the movie recommendation, but like everyone was like, I can't watch horror. I do not watch horror. And I was so upset by that. I was like, give it a freaking try.
A lot of it is like I find most of it is like people's preconceived notions of what horror is. Like they're thinking like this is the Saw movies, like is what horror when people think of horror, which is not true. It just there's just so many levels and tiers. So I encourage also people seek them out.
Yeah, just Just give it a try. Okay, sorry. So back to who stars in this movie. So I said Catherine Hicks, Seventh Heaven. Surprise, to not know this. Chris Sarandon is in this. Who, you all know, first of all, wait, married to Susan Sarandon or brother?
Married. I think they were married.
Married.
She kept his name. It's fine, I guess.
Right. And also Humperdinck in Princess Bride. Yep. They said he was in another like horror creepy movie, Fear
He's in
something.
a bunch. But Fright Night is his other big
Fright
one.
Night,
He's in a great one called The Sentinel, which I like a lot. Yeah, he's done a bunch of in this time period. Was like his shtick.
Yeah. I'm like, it's hard after you see him in Princess Bride to like him at all, but he's pretty bad in this, but pretty badass in this as well, I will say.
Yeah, you should watch Fright Night. It's really funny.
Yeah, I want to see that now. Brad
Dourif.
Dourif. Oh, that's an R. Okay, I was like, what? Dourif is Chucky, so the voice, but then also the actor in the beginning. Okay, he looks like Chris Kattan to me, and I was so confused because I was like, either I've seen that guy in a bunch of other stuff, or it's Chris Kattan. Okay, what is he in?
He's a famous character actor. He's in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's in Lord of the Rings. Is he in Lord of the Rings with a dark, scary wig? Okay, character's name.
Yes. Is he who was friends with Gollum?
No.
And they have the ring?
Like possessing the king of Rohan or whatever.
You're right. Oh my God, that's it. That's what it was.
Or helping to possess, rather.
Yeah, right. Also, Diana Manoff, who you will know as Marty from Grease. Sad. First person killed by Chucky. That was a bummer.
Didn't need to happen.
Also, bad luck falling out that window. Bad shaky windows. What up with that?
So they don't have a lot of money, so I'm sure they live in a not great area where they didn't care about that stuff.
Right.
So that's what happens.
That's true. And then randomly, I just noticed the guy from Home Alone, who's like he's the boss in this, the department store boss.
I was trying to figure out who that
Home
was.
Alone. He's like, he's the flight, the guy at
he's
the
in a bunch of
airline
other
desk
stuff too.
in
He's
Scranton.
like one of those. Hey, that guy. He's like in an
Yes.
office. I feel like at one point in a movie, like with
probably.
also glasses. Oh my God, what is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Inner Space?
I don't know.
No. He's not the guy who
so.
like at the end is like putting the little disc in the. He gets like zapped and he's like, ow.
Maybe. Yeah, we should look at the credits. I missed that on it, but I just quickly scanned and I saw Home Alone. I was like, oh yes. Anyway, so just all those people are in this movie, and then the little boy is. I did not write down his name, but he is in this.
Nice.
Not much to say about him. I don't think he continued into anything else. Horror stuff.
What are those called? The thing you get your autographs, conventions.
Oh, Comic-Con.
Like horror conventions. He's always at those. He was at one that I went to.
Comic-Con kind of thing.
That's like his claim to fame, though, is being annoying little Andy, who's like a small baby but 6 years old. So he acts like a baby. Basically.
Yeah, he acts like a baby, but
yelling all
he
the
was
time.
smarter than he looked. But
At
he was
the end,
smarter than
he's
he
very
looked.
smart.
In the end, yeah. That was really uncharacteristic. I felt like for all that he had already done. And also, I just feel like he needed to, he did act like super young.
He was a contradiction. I mean, he was like very naive, yet is able to travel on Chicago's public transit system by himself as a 6-year-old multiple times. And he's a mystery to me. I don't know.
Yeah. He's a conundrum for sure. So this movie, I don't know if I want to save this for the trivia or not, but it was a movie that I don't know where I'm going with that.
Cool.
I'm sorry, my brain is fried. I've had to deal with a lot of baby stuff today. Okay, I also want to say that my 3-month-old baby loved this movie. I was able to keep her quiet for like a very long time by watching this movie. Now, Sweetie says that was a bad move because she is going to be very impressionable with her like young mind. And I said she doesn't know what scary is yet, and that scary is basically a societal construct in terms of like
true.
what
I
you
think that
perceive
your
as scary.
personal feelings on like I find clowns to be very scary, but you don't find clowns to be very scary. So it's like a very personalized thing of like whether that makes you scared or not. I'm just saying I don't want to fuck her up because we also made her watch Jurassic Park the other night, and like I just feel like we're showing her a lot of scary things.
I'm sorry, Ronnie. It's
I
bad
don't
to
want
be
her to
this
have an
old
anxiety
during
disorder.
spooky month.
Like her auntie.
She's not gonna have anxiety or
Oh my god.
No, she's gonna be very, very brave. No, I think you would think this movie is scary, and most people do because I think there's just something about like a doll or slash like little thing being like kind of scary. I don't know. That means to me that's kind of like clown adjacent to me. I don't know. Something about like the innocence of these things that end up turning.
Well, your
that they're
toys are
actually,
supposed to be
evil.
like your thing, right? They're like your favorite
Yeah.
thing. You love playing with them. So this whole concept of like an evil toy that can kill you is very scary, but mostly it seems like for children. And maybe for the adults, the factor is more of like the creepiness factor. But I think it's interesting. And usually in these movies, they usually have a kid as the main character because I guess that makes sense because, right, that's where the main thread is coming from. There's also a movie from the 80s called Dolls, which people love, about killer dolls, basically. And they're like little puppets.
Yeah.
And they have terrible puppet hands. I hate them.
Yeah. Right. So scary. Like the scariest part for me of this movie was when you would see like him like running around. I mean, his face was scary, but like the little, like when he's running like out of the corner of someone's eye and they turn around and they just see like a little figure running.
Yeah.
Or when he's like going up the stairs to go get Andy at like the mental hospital and you just like see him from the back going up the stairs. Ugh. I don't know why that was like so scary
I think
to me.
he's scary until he starts talking, is my opinion. Like once he starts having that Chucky persona, I think it just becomes more funny to me. And I think that's what my friends and I
agreed.
kind of came to like about this movie was that like we just thought that was hilarious that Chucky was swearing and saying funny things. Like it was just like a fun thing to an entertaining thing to watch or something. It wasn't scary.
Yeah, and then he almost becomes like, not that he's not evil, but that like you don't like hate him as much because he's like kind of scary. And then he becomes this like, not that you're not rooting for his demise, but it is like, it's, I don't know, it's like it's a different thing. I mean, they do, I mean, I feel like Freddy Krueger kind of ended up being like that too. He has like a personality. Definitely. So you're like, it's an interesting like conundrum there.
Another conundrum. A lot of conundrums in Child's Play. Who knew?
A lot of conundrums today. Who knew? Okay, so let's get into it. It's time for the Sweetie Synopsis.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Yeah. His like creepy laugh. Ugh. Why is his head so big? I just like in the show, the TV show, like that he's watching. Ew, I hate it. Ugh.
Why is like the doll so big in general? I would never want a doll
live
that big.
action is so big, so they had to, I don't know, and because they had to account for him. Them being able to make it look like he was running around on his own or something. It had to be that big. I don't know.
That's true. I
don't know.
I mean, that's like a bulky
Like,
doll. I'm just saying. I would
Andy
never want a
can
doll that
barely
big.
carry it around. He's like,
I know. That's what's funny. He's taller than him.
Andy. All right. Charles Lee Ray, a.k.a. the Strangler, is a serial killer on the run in Chicago. The cops are tailing him. They shoot him in the leg. His getaway buddy drives off. Eddie, fuck that guy. And Charles Lee Ray goes to this toy store, throws out some casual like voodoo or Santeria or whatever, and like conjures some spirit and like puts his soul into whatever is near him at the time, which is this good guy doll. Which is this just like horrific piece of plastic and red hair and like overalls. And it's like meant to be the Care Bears or the Cabbage Patch doll of this era, which is to say that it was the toy that the only toy that your kids wanted, the only thing that mattered.
And it had like all of this like market merch involved with it. So there's a TV show, there's toys, there's clothes. This is like the Tickle Me Elmo of 1988.
Yes.
The inspiration for it being the My Buddy doll from real life, which is what makes it like doubly creepy, right? And we'll go into that after. I can't
believe that was allowed.
Dolls.
They could like copy it that closely.
I know. I want to talk about it.
Cool. I can't wait.
We're gonna talk about it.
So the toy store like half explodes or whatever, but like I guess we assume that Charles Lee Ray is now in the doll. So, cut to what is their names? Yeah, like their family name. Andy and his mom.
Yeah. Mom.
Andy is a 6-year-old, I guess, kid who lives with his mom, who's Barclay.
Barclay? Karen is the mom.
Who lives with his single mom, who's doing the best she can, but... times are tough. Times are tough.
Doing it,
and it happens to be Andy's birthday, and he's very excited because this kid is fucking obsessed with good guys to the point where it's like, I just want him to take a break for a little while. Like, how can every single thing he have be good guys? Like, it was a little too much. So he's making his mom this breakfast. He's doing a terrible job because he's 6 years old. And like, a part of me feels bad for him, but part of me is like, come on, this is another thing that's weird. Like, this kid's fucking like making the worst breakfast on the planet but is like smart at the end. It doesn't check out. My favorite part is when he puts not 1, not 2, but 3 heaping spoonfuls of sugar on the cereal that he brings for his mother.
I felt that cereal was kind of crazy.
Yeah, they were huge.
Pieces in the cereal were huge. They were the good guys,
tools.
Like pieces to go along with like how.
I'm assuming. I don't know why the good guys are obsessed with tools. They're like always making their clubhouse or whatever. Like fucking finish your clubhouse. I want to play with real toys. Like I don't play with fucking toolbox. So Andy,
but
it's
his birthday though. But it's his birthday, and he's making breakfast in bed for his mom.
He's so sweet. He's just like
what a good guy.
He's a good guy. So he's...
Hold on. Wait, sorry. One more thing. What happened to breakfast in bed? Because I feel like that's another thing anymore.
I've never had it. But I'm thinking tray. Like I've definitely eaten probably breakfast in bed at one point.
But I'm thinking the
tray is classic. I hope that... Crate and Barrel has one. I'm sure they do.
And I feel like it was like growing up like a thing, probably just from seeing stuff in movies. You would like bring to your
Mother's
mom
Day.
on her birthday or Mother's Day or like. I always wanted to do that with mom, but like I don't think we ever did.
Tray.
Apologies,
we didn't have
Carol.
a tray. We didn't have a tray. I was just like not like that in the 80s because like there's nothing to do. Like people didn't have TVs in their room like frequently, and you didn't have smartphones. So like, what do you do? Like talk to yourself? Does someone come in and sit with you? Like what's the procedure? I don't know. Anyways,
read a book.
Andy sees a commercial on TV about the good guy doll, which is again the latest rage. So he's like beside himself and is like, I can't wait to get one of those. He looks at his presents and sees like a big box. So he's like, oh shit, my mom got me the good guy doll. So he goes in, makes her up. He's all excited. He's like, I want to open my presents now, which is like fair. That's definitely always 100% what you want as a kid. You want them now. And what? Oh yeah.
He gets a pair of jeans.
He's like opens it and it's a huge box and there's like one pair of pants inside of it. And his face is just like so sad and his mom's like, what's wrong? Like, oh my God, put it together.
First of all, the mom is a terrorist. Who would do that to a 6-year-old? He's expecting a doll in that box.
She knew that. Shame.
Yeah.
Shame.
It's fucked up.
So he's like, I wanted toys. And he's like, yeah, of course. She's like, why don't you try this one? So has him open this other toy, which he's all excited about again, but womp womp. good guy's toolbox, like cool fake toys, love it, mom, thanks. He's still pissed. He's pissed. And unfortunately, it's like a sad thing because his mom doesn't have much money. She has to work a terrible job at a department store. So she really couldn't afford the doll because those dolls are fucking like $140 in the 80s. That was like $500.
They're $100. They were $100, and that's $225 in
Jesus.
today's money. That's a lot for a doll that a kid's gonna like
She's
play
making,
with for a year.
Beans at fucking the department store.
Beans.
So
No.
at work that night, or like that day, her friend, whose name is, what was her friend's name again?
Her friend's name was
Maggie.
Something.
Maggie.
Yeah. Yep.
She's like, oh my God, I saw, that doll that you want? I saw a peddler in the alley, like he's got one. Okay. Peddler is a very loose term for also known as crackhead homeless man in the alley with stolen goods in a shopping cart. Like I know she wants to get Andy that doll, but like, holy shit, why would you ever purchase a toy for your child out of that situation?
Out of a guy with a shopping cart in an alley.
Teeth, like no teeth.
And no teeth.
They've been dissolved by like acid teeth. He's like probably one of my least favorite characters in any movie ever. Like his like gross hat. God. I'm telling you, the 80s were so unfair to like people with mental illness and homeless people, which like often is synonymous, right? Like in this time, briefly after deinstitutionalization. But say that for another podcast. But I do feel like obviously they portrayed them very wrongly, but it did give me a very unfair interpretation of like homeless people, because I just always just like pictured this scary guy, and it's not true. Anyways, so she gets the doll from him for like $30 or something, and they're like, how do you know it works? And he's like, I'm fucking selling this out of a shopping cart. Like, what do you want from me? Like, I'm a crackhead, basically. So she goes back to work. She left her post unattended, so she gets in big trouble. And she finds out she has to work tonight, like life or death situation. And she's like, I can't, my kid's birthday. And her friend's like, I'll cover it for her. And he's like, you don't work in the makeup department. You can't possibly work here. I'm like, dude, this guy, that guy's a terrorist. If we want to talk about terrorists, like that guy sucked, the boss. So fucking, oh my God. But what is her first name? The mom's first name? Karen?
I just said it.
Karen Barclay. Yeah.
Karen.
So Karen has to work. So Maggie watches Andy for her, which is very nice. Andy seems like the sweetest kid on the block, but now he's obsessed with that fucking doll, so he's like taking it everywhere. And then like some like light creepy things start to happen where like Andy's like, Maggie, Chucky wants to watch the nighttime news. And she's like, what? No, go to bed. So goes to bed. And then the TV turns on and Maggie goes in there and sees Chucky. The doll is just like seems to be like watching the TV. And what happens to be on the news is a report about Charles Lee Ray's accomplice Eddie is like on the run and nobody knows where he is or something like that. It's like some news report update on that. So obviously that's why Chucky is very interested. And at this point the doll has been like, I'm Chucky, we're friends. So he's now known as Chucky. But so Andy keeps appearing to like talk to the doll, but we don't ever hear anything coming out of the doll's mouth. So it's very eerie because he'll like lean in like he's whispering something to him and then like listen and like it's like, I don't like that. So Maggie starts getting a little creeped out. She like takes the doll, like yells at Andy basically, who's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Poor Andy. He gets like, blamed for everything in this. Really terrible.
I know.
Maybe that's why he's smart at the end, because he has to grow up so like fucking quickly, just like total chaos. So Andy goes to bed. Chucky slips out of the bed and like goes back into the living room. Some like kerfuffle happens and he gets enough momentum to push Maggie out the window. Or no, she trips.
No, that's not what happens. He takes the
hammer.
good guy's little hammer in the toolbox that Andy received for his birthday,
But
and
even
gets
still,
her on the head
that's
with
hard
it.
enough.
And then she stumbles out the window.
It was just like really quick. It was just like it seemed
breaks
like
it.
he had a lot of force behind it. But she falls out the window, dies. Awful, tragic. Poor Karen comes home from work and arrives to see like an ambulance outside. She runs up to her apartment. No one is telling her anything. I'm like horrified at all the cops just like looking at her, being like, "What? What's happening right now? What's a son?"
So crazy. Like worst nightmare ever, right? To like go into your apartment and see all these cops. No one's telling you what's going
See
on.
your child anywhere? Like what? The
Awful.
fuck?
Yeah, she's running around.
fine,
Where's
though.
Andy? Where's Andy? Finds him. Yeah, so great. But oh no, her BFF fell out the window.
And who's the prime suspect? Andy, because
what they have is before Chucky pushed her out the window, he knocked over this thing of flour that was on the counter. So there's like flour all over the kitchen. And then so his little footprints are all over the kitchen, and it's really confusing to the cops because they don't match Andy's. But they sort of do because they're the same type of shoe, but they're not the right size.
Well,
so they're not really like putting two and
then
two
they
together.
find out that he also has what look like shoes on his good guy PJ sneakers,
right?
Which the cops didn't check because he was wearing them or whatever, or like his PJs. They didn't think they were they were only looking at shoes, not focused on the PJ foot. But it's really Chucky's foot, and it's just because Andy has all the fucking merch. They look the same. Is the problem. Problem. So so Karen's horrified that her son is even being considered as the cause of this. She kicks all the policemen out. The next day, Andy goes off on a trip to the project.
Well, no, he goes to school first and then sneaks out
on the way to school or something.
No, he dropped the mom drops him. Okay, so the mom does talk to him because Andy's tells him that this is my doll Chucky. This is his real name. He said
but
Dad
he does know
sent
it.
him from heaven to be my friend. And he said that Maggie deserved to die because she was a bitch.
And he figures out that it was Chucky, as the cops are leaving, right? And he's like, I know who did it. It was Chucky. So I guess and then all of a sudden he's smart there too. So maybe he is smart. He's just not street smart. Maybe that's it. Yeah.
He just seems slow. Yeah, he seems sleepy.
Always yelling or something. Mom, I made you breakfast. Oh my God, shut up. You made me burnt toast. Cool. I'd be so mad. No, just kidding. I would love it.
Giant pot of butter.
Yes. Okay, so he sneaks away, gets on the L, as they call it, in Chicago.
The ELL, good crossword
EL,
clue. If you
two
ever
letters.
do crosswords, it's always in there.
I think
it's always ELL.
2 letters. I do crossword every day. Yeah.
In crosswords?
Yes,
there's no 2-letter crossword. It's always 3.
L is one of them. Or L's.
I don't think so.
Oh my God. People from Chicago,
okay, you might be
please tell me I'm right. Anyways.
No, I think you're right too. I'm sorry. I take it back. So
Chucky and Andy go to the projects to find Eddie. So Andy has to take a leak, does so, and Chucky takes the opportunity to sneak away. We should mention that we still don't hear him talk with Maggie. Okay, never mind. Okay. So he's going to kill Eddie. So he ditches Andy and goes into Eddie's what's that called? Squatting. And cranks the gas up and causes noises or whatever. So Eddie starts firing a gun in random places, which is too bad. He shoots right at the oven, which has all this gas blowing, so the house just explodes. And my favorite part about this is that Andy's outside of this crack den, and he hears gunshots in the house. And so Andy's like, Chucky! And is looking for Chucky and thinks he might be in this house where gunshots are happening. Again, such a strong, quick shift from smart to dumb. What is going on?
Yeah. Well, he had left him in a chair and
but,
hasn't
like,
seen him move or anything.
You wouldn't be
So
scared
he's
to
like,
hear
right?
gunshots in a house and be like, that's where I need to be? Like, he
Yeah.
doesn't know about, like,
I know.
violence and guns, I guess.
Also, how did he
Okay,
like not
yes.
get blown up too?
Other
Because
great
it seemed
question.
like
He
the
was
fire
right
was, like,
outside.
crazy.
Like, he
Yeah.
was so close.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But Eddie's dead. Andy gets picked up by the police. Obviously, he's like stranded out there. And so the police call poor Karen, and they're like, "Listen, we hate to tell you this, but like someone else is dead." And guess who was there at this crack den? It was Andy. So she's like freaked out. They basically commit Andy to like a kid's mental institution / prison, but it's like very dire living situations. Like he's basically in a prison cell for adults. It looks like wild, but it's for his own good. And so Karen goes home and is just like so upset and like she can't understand this. She truly believes that like Andy would never do this. And like if we know him just in this brief amount of time, we would probably, I mean, we agree with that. He seems like a very sweet, mild-mannered child. So she's like, something has to be happening. So half of her thinks she's crazy, but
She
yeah.
takes
I mean, it's
Chucky
his
home.
doll, so she like brings it home, and then starts being like, okay, like talk, just talk. I know you can talk. I know you can hear me. She's like convinced that Andy is telling the truth, and there might be something else that makes her think that like it's also true that someone is in the doll.
Well, she have kept seeing. Well, she knows her son first of all, knows he's not crazy, and kept kind of hearing someone else talking the first night when they were home. And remember, she kept like putting her ear up to the door and being like, "What is going on in there? Like, why?" Like, she knows her son wouldn't just be talking to like a doll if they weren't talking back. Basically, I think. So she like knows what's up. So so she starts like freaking out at the doll, goes to the box and is like picks it up, and the batteries fall out of it. So the batteries were included, but you would have to put them into the doll for it to start talking. So the good guys dolls say like 4 things, you know, like, "Hi, my name is blank. Like, I like hugs, blah, blah, blah." I forget, there's other phrases. So to get them to say those phrases and for it to blink its eyes, like you have to put the batteries in. So she's like, "Wait a minute, the batteries are in the box and it's been talking like this whole time." So she goes over to it, flips it over. You know, have you ever seen a doll? Ever seen a doll? Haha. You know, you've seen a doll. Back is a battery where you put the batteries, you know, those chunky C batteries or whatever. Opens it up. And
No batteries.
dun, dun, dun. No batteries. And Chucky turns his face around
Chucky,
and
wanna
says, I forget what he says
play?
to her. "I'm Chucky" or something. Play. Yeah. Oh, that line that I just said. "Hello, Emily." And she flips out, screams, and drops him, and he like rolls underneath the couch.
Yeah, and then she looks
Scary.
under there, and it's like the classic horror trope of like, is it gonna move and like attack you? But it doesn't happen.
Right, is it gonna move?
But then she
It does though,
not
because
until
then
she tries to throw him in the fire, I think. So then she like lights the fire in the fireplace and is like, "Talk or I'll throw you in the fire." And he's like, "You bitch, you fucking bitch," and like freaks out. And so here he starts talking for the first time in his Charles Lee Ray voice. So it is in the Brad Dourif Chucky voice that we all know and love so much. So that's the first time that it happens. And yeah, she's freaking out. He bites her. Who knew those doll teeth were so sharp and violent? I mean, wow.
He's a biter.
But ultimately, how does she get out of that? He runs away. Yeah, he gets out and runs out.
He opens the door and runs away. And she's so brave.
it's
She like
just a
runs
doll.
after him and is like trying to track him down. I know, but like I'd be like, hell no.
yeah,
like
true.
Good riddance. Like get the fuck out of here. But
Yeah.
she needs it to
So
exonerate
she's now
her
on
son.
a quest to like prove that Charles Lee Ray is in the body of Chucky. Because I guess Andy told her at some point, like, he told me his name's Charles Lee Ray. So she does a little research, finds out that she goes to like his house and finds out that he was like really close to some like voodoo like priest kind of guy, and he has this like mural in his apartment of this guy. So they go out to find that guy. Unfortunately, that guy, Chucky's freaked out because he gets hurt.
Oh wait, hold on.
Oh, I missed something.
Wait, go
Why is
back
this so
to
confusing?
when the cop. So she goes to the cop, Chris Sarandon character, and is like tries to tell him it's the doll, it's not my son, and he doesn't believe her. So the cop has Chucky in the backseat of the car,
I think
or like
Chucky just
he goes
gets in
back
his
to the
car.
police
'Cause remember
station to look up
when Charles Lee Ray's still alive in the beginning.
You're right.
The two people he says he's going to kill are Eddie and the cop,
Yeah.
the Chris Sarandon cop.
Right. So the cop goes back to the police station to get the file on Charles Lee Ray, and then Chucky jumps into the back of the car like while he's in the police station. And so he's driving, and all of a sudden Chucky tries to strangle him from the back seat. He has a knife and is like poking it through the knife. This is like my favorite scene of all time. He's like poking through the back of the thing. The cop is driving and like moving his back to where the knife is. Chucky gets under the seat, is poking him like through the legs, trying to like stab his balls, and the guy is like popping up in the seat, doing this like crazy dance to get rid of the knife. I mean, the guy, that is one talented cop, man.
It seemed like
driving,
dumb luck.
he's
Like, how
keeping it
could Chucky
together.
not have got him?
Yeah. Oh, it was nuts. I don't know. It was crazy. So there's this whole thing. They crash the car. He's trying to shoot him through the car. Great scene. Finally does shoot him, and then
so
Chucky
he's
like
shot.
runs away.
And it hurts and he's bleeding. So Chucky's like, I thought no one could hurt me because I'm a doll. So he goes to talk to his buddy, whatever that guy's name was, the voodoo guy.
The voodoo
He
guy
tells him like, you're an unnatural like abomination. Your soul is trying to like turn back to human, so that's why you can get hurt. Like the longer you stay in the doll, like the more you'll become like a human, I guess. So
and then he would remain a doll forever. Like
but
he's
would
not
be
going to turn into his
human
old self.
in the doll.
But
I mean, it's not that
human.
bad.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I don't know. Like it seems like you get like the best of both worlds. Sort of. You can't turn back, but you also get to be a doll.
Right.
So that's kind of fun.
And then what's scary for the viewer is that the doll is morphing. So it's really not like a good guy's doll anymore. It's like it's turning into a really scary face. Like
looks
he's
like
getting
him.
like stubble and it looks like him. Very, very scary. And then also he's getting like injured now. So he's like bullet wounds. The cop had used a cigarette lighter and burned his face. So there's this like big burn mark on him.
Not
So
his
he's looking
best.
kind
Not
of
looking
gnarly.
his best. But so the voodoo guy tells him unfortunately the only way to save yourself is to put your soul into the first person who you revealed your true self to or whatever. And unfortunately that's Andy, a 6-year-old kid. So, and he's like, great, that'll be easy. So he's off to go find Andy. Karen and the cop show up. The cop's like, Karen, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. Chucky tried to kill me in my car last night. Like, pretty scary stuff. Whoa. Like, almost lost my dick. Close call. And he goes with her to this guy's apartment where they find him like lying dead because Chucky had stabbed him because he was mad that he basically, the guy was like, you're an abomination. Yeah, he was like pretty mean.
Voodoo doll.
He was saying mean things to Chucky, but they were true. I support it. He's like, yeah, I taught you this trick, but like you used it for the wrong reasons, and now you're in a fucking doll. So like, I don't want to help you. And yeah, so Chucky's like, too bad. You like, who makes a voodoo doll of themselves? They're for their mojo. Never heard of that.
I don't know.
And why are you telling people
And then
where
why
it
are you
is? It's
telling
your
people
PIN,
where
you're
it
telling
is?
people your bank PIN number. Like, no, don't do it. Hell to the no. But so Chucky like bangs that out, breaks his legs, and then somehow when they show up, he's like bleeding everywhere. We didn't see him do that.
I know. Well, he stabbed him, but like apparently like
So
right in
much
the
blood.
aorta because the guy is like in
But can
a
still
lake of
talk.
blood when the cops
And he
arrive.
says, "Save the
Yeah, that is
child."
the
He's
line.
gonna go after the child. His heart. And she's like, how do I kill him? And he's like, the heart is the final thing that will turn or whatever. If you kill the heart, like that'll kill him. So this is very critical information, Karen, that you should know. And so she's now, it's a race back to find Andy. So Andy's still, unfortunately, in like the child's prison of the mental institution. And he sees Chucky coming, and he starts freaking out.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
remember I was talking about the stairwell, so Andy can see out the window and he sees like the sketchy Chucky doll, which is basically just like a 5-year-old like in the Chucky costume, like running up the stairwell to like go get
Oh my
Andy.
God, that was
And
so
he's
sad.
freaking out, and I felt so bad.
He's gonna
like,
kill me.
He's like, help me, and he's like, he's kill me, and then he's like
me.
sobbing,
Yeah,
like so scared.
You're like,
I
this kid
know.
has a chance.
Oh,
Like
God.
he's as smaller than this doll is. Like fuck. So of course Chucky like gets his way in there, kills like some doctors or whatever. The doctors are.
No, he didn't kill anybody.
Oh,
He just
I thought
stole
he
the
kills
keys.
the main
I was surprised
doctor.
about that.
With the shock therapy.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, later.
Not in this
later.
scene.
Yeah. So he breaks into the cell, or he gets into the cell, and he sees like Andy sleeping, like a lump in the bed, and he goes up to the bed and he's like, "Ha!"
The
and it's
old
all like
pillow
pillows, like, and I was like, "Whoa, smart Andy." Yeah, the old pillow trick. And Andy is like hiding somewhere, and then runs out the door and like locks him in there, and then runs to like one of the surgeries, grabs a scalpel, and is like waiting for him. And then Chucky finds him in there, and there's like some sort of altercation. The doctor comes in and is
Drugs
like, Andy, like, yeah, drugs him. Like, we're gonna stop this. Put this down. You don't need this scalpel. And he's like trying to drug him. I don't think he does inject him quite yet, does he? Because then Chucky comes and like stabs the guy in the leg, like does a big gash in his calf, and the doctor's down, and Chucky puts the electrode, like whatever thing, on his head and basically like electrocutes him to the point his like
why would they
brain
ever make those
explodes
go
or
up
something.
that high? That they could do that. Bizarro.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't
didn't
know.
remember that scene, and I was like, wow, this is intense. Pretty gross. I wonder if that's what really happens to you if you were to try that.
I know. Well, I think it's like the blood
Ew.
vessels all broke in his eye, basically, and
But yeah,
then
But Andy gets
was
away.
bleeding from his mouth, maybe from his brain.
Go
Anyway,
Andy. You know, I don't know how far away this place is from his home, but I always thought it was like in the country or something, and somehow he gets back to his apartment, but who knows? So he goes back home, and Chucky follows him there, and basically the end is. Oh wait, we forgot. Okay, well we'll talk about that later when she goes back to the peddler. But like she doesn't learn anything like astounding there.
oh yeah,
But anyways, so then the cop, Karen and Andy are all in the apartment, and Karen, you know, there's various ruckuses. I don't remember fully everything that happens, but like the cop gets wounded, and then Karen goes to like save Andy, but then Chucky like ends up in the fire.
yep, yeah, because Chucky is trying to do like the voodoo spell on Andy. They get to him just in time, but then the cop gets slashed, so he's down. Karen is able to get him into the fireplace, turn on the jets, and like, but she's like
Chucky
holding him
in the
back, like the
jets.
fireplace, like grate, and she gets the matches down, but she needs Andy to like come get the matches. So Andy's kind of like frozen, like from fear, but then is able to go get the matches. They strike it, throw it in there, and Chucky is on fire. So this is what I remember from basically the only part I remember from this movie from my childhood is this ending where Chucky is on fire, and it's just like burned little body, like running around the apartment, like like screaming crazy, turns into this like bloody charcoal mess, and they think
never
it's
done.
done, but then he just keeps coming back to life. So it's several
Let
what
me
is that
tell
called?
you,
The fourth act?
They didn't go for
fourth
the
act?
heart. Like, what did he tell you? What did he tell you, Karen? Ugh,
Right.
God. So then,
Right.
yeah.
Well, maybe she thought the heart was
the
burned.
heart's the last thing to burn.
when you are burned alive
is
like
what
that,
I hear.
you know?
So
Yeah.
it takes a lot.
So yeah, so he's down, and then she shoots him
Again, not in the heart.
Basically all his body parts come off. So yeah, so she shoots him in the chest, she shoots his arm off, she shoots his leg off. So he's like lying in pieces like in the hallway. So they think he's dead, and she goes to like help the cop out, and then his partner shows up, and the partner does not believe their story. Okay, the doll did it, blah blah blah. He's like, go and check for yourself. His parts are like in the hallway, but don't touch him, don't move anything. So the guy like goes and looks at the head. It's this like crazy charred mess. You can still like make out teeth and like one like wonky eye. And he brings the head in and he's like, look, like it's dead. Like it's dead. And he's like saying all this stuff. All of a sudden, like the Chucky body that still had one arm attached, like pops out of the heating grate and starts strangling him. Oh my God. Luckily, finally, they get him shot in the heart, Chucky. And finally, and it hit like blood, like explodes everywhere. So they know like they did finally get the heart. And then it is like officially over. What a crazy fucking mess.
Yeah. And Andy has the final line where like at the second time he comes back to life, Chucky's like, Andy, please, I'm your friend. Like, friends to the end.
No, that was the fire.
That was the
fire part.
because it was like the best. Oh yeah, and then
No,
Andy's like, "This
no.
is the end."
No, that was the fire part.
friend. Yeah,
Is the
like,
end,
Whoa,
friend.
sass attack. Like whoa.
Yeah. I know. I almost kind of wish that was the end. I mean, I do
It was
appreciate fourth
excessive.
acts, but that seemed like a little bit even too much for me. Yeah, it was just. But real like that would be a total jump scare in the theater if you saw that though, for sure. So we all know that isn't the end of Chucky because it spawned several sequels, including Chucky 2. Oh, sorry, Chucky 2, Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, The Bride of Chucky, like the spawn
Seed
of
of
Chucky.
Chucky,
Like, there's just so many. Oh yeah, that's the Seed of Chucky. So, and then they made a remake last year or 2 years ago with Aubrey Plaza. Sounded like kind of similar things. Single mom buying a toy for her child. You know, serial killer is inside. So that it was a straight up remake. It wasn't like a sequel or anything like that. One of the fans of the podcast messaged me, said it was just okay. Which, you know, are any remakes, are you going to say, you're going to say that about almost every remake? Because it just doesn't hold the original, you know, the luster of the original. This was, you know, pretty like our original, like good idea for a horror movie, I will say. Enjoyable to me. I thought it was freaky as fuck. And I really liked it. I think it holds up.
It's still very funny. My favorite part still is, and this is the part I remembered when my friends and I watched it, is when the two old people get in the elevator and Chucky's like in there and she's like, look, Herb, someone left one of their dolls in the elevator. And he's like, that's weird, leave it there. And then she's like, and like looks at it and it's like he's super fucked up at this point. And she's like, what an ugly doll. And then as they're leaving the elevator starts going up and Chucky's just like, fuck you. Yeah. It's so funny.
You.
I love that. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fine movie. I think that like it can, like I said, I feel like they took away Chucky's like scare power too soon. And he just became like pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. And once he is at that point, I think it's a little less scary for me and more funny. Ow. Desmond's biting my feet. I don't know what to do.
No, killer cat, the Chucky cat. So as I said before, this movie, and they took the idea from this movie off of what was in the 80s, this My Buddy doll. So if you grew up in the 80s, early 90s, you probably saw this commercial all the time. It was the jingle that wouldn't quit. It went, my buddy, wherever I go, you're gonna go, my buddy, and me. And then Kid
What year
Sister.
was this? I think it was
Kid
before.
Sister, wherever I go.
BS,
You're
right?
gonna go,
Before Sweetie?
Kid Sister.
I don't remember this.
Kid Sister and me. 88, so you were teeny tiny. But those were like a big deal. So they looked very similar to the Good Guys dolls, but you know, they had like a little boy in the commercial, like who looked pretty similar to Andy, And it was kind of like an interesting thing now looking back that it was like a doll marketed to little boys, right? I mean, okay, the kid sister version, as I said in my story on Instagram, bullshit, because like, why do the girls get a kid sister and the boys get a buddy? Like, what? Yeah. Why wasn't it like both siblings? I don't know. Very annoying to me. You could get ones that look like you. So they had My Buddies that had brown hair, red hair. So it was like that kind of a thing, I guess. You'd get one that looked like you if you wanted. I don't know. Interesting concept. But let's just say that company was selling no more of those dolls once this movie came out. I mean, what parent in your right mind is going to be buying one of those dolls after you see this movie? Forget
But did they like
it.
sue?
Yeah. So that is a bummer. No, I don't think you can because it's not the same. They didn't use the name, and they did change like the look of it, so it didn't look the same. But yeah, totally fucked up. I can't believe like they can't sue either because that's losing like a ton of money, and they were like a pretty big deal. I knew a couple people who had. I know a couple girls who had the kid sister. I don't know anyone who had the My Buddy. Sketchy. But yeah, that's just totally crazy. What else was I going to say? When this movie came out, there was like a lot of protest about it because people thought it like was inciting violence in children and like making them think that violence was okay.
Children aren't supposed to be watching this.
Kids are so impressionable.
Putting Ronnie in front of the
kids are so impressionable. They'd see like, what about a 3-month-old? So there's always going to be like those parents. And the writers of the movie were like, well, horror movies, sure, they can give people ideas, but only if you're like unsettled to begin, kind of like something is wrong with you to begin with that you would like mirror a horror movie, I guess. So like those protesters really didn't have like a leg to stand on, which I agree. Like whatever, it's art. This movie actually got a good review by Roger Ebert. Very cool. He was pretty picky back in his day, so he liked it.
I don't trust him.
Yeah, I know.
No, I don't think he has bad taste.
You don't trust him. What? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know like his reviews of all the movies, but he was picky. That's for sure.
Anything else you'd like to mention?
Again, I want to say that I enjoyed the brave female lead. She wasn't tragic. We did skip over where she almost gets raped by the meth head. Yeah. Wicked scary. And is saved by the cop, thank God. But and I think you're right, he doesn't tell her where he got the doll though. Where did he get the doll?
Like out by the toys. Doesn't he say the toy store? Like I found it like in the wreckage at the toy store. Yeah. And the doll.
But the toy store blew up, and there wasn't even a scorch mark on that box or the doll.
Blew up and out. I don't know. I have no idea.
You're like rewriting the movie. No. Yeah. So she's pretty badass in this and saves the day a lot. She's not a great shot. Well, I guess she's a pretty good shot. If she was trying to shoot like all the body parts of Chucky. Yeah. She's pretty badass, pretty brave and just like trying obviously to save her son no matter what. So I forget if she's in the sequel or not. I saw like randomly Sci-Fi has been playing like different Chuckies, and I did stumble upon one. I don't know if it's 2 or 3. Someone was with Andy like in one of the toy factories, so I don't know which one that is. But yeah, again, like definitely a movie that stands out for us and for anyone born, like I said, in the 80s or early 90s. You just like Chucky was a big deal.
Yep, definitely an icon of the 80s. For sure. All right.
Icon of the 80s.
Great. Well, anything else? All right. Well,
nope,
thank you for listening. You can find us on Twitter at The Sweeney Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye. Rape artist, homeless man, the peddler.
Rape artist, definitely meth head, homeless man, the peddler. Bye.